You were never meant to blend in, and deep down, you've always known that. But this was something else. The woman behind the counter froze mid-sentence, her eyes suddenly wide, like she'd seen something crawling behind your eyes. She smiled politely, but it didn't reach her face. Her hand trembled as she slid the receipt across the glass. You'd only asked for directions. What had she seen? You stepped outside, the sun dimming under thick clouds that hadn't been there. 5 minutes ago, the air shifted, heavier, denser. It had happened again. People backed away from you on the street, without knowing why. That child in the supermarket who burst into tears the moment you passed. The stranger on the train, who couldn't stop staring, then crossed themselves when they thought you weren't looking. This wasn't paranoia. It wasn't coincidence. It was them. They didn't know why they feared you, but they did. Because it's not you they see. It's what dwells within you. That ancient light, that buried fire, that divine flame not of this world. You've tried to silence it, dull it down, wear the mask, say the right things, keep your head down. But you were never meant to be hidden, and now they know it. You feel it when you walk into certain rooms. The sudden heaviness, the invisible eyes, the energy turns cold. The smiles shift into masks. Conversations end when you approach. Some even hate you without reason. But here's the truth no one's ever told you. It's not your personality. It's not your past. It's not your tone or your silence. It's your anointing. You are marked, not by the world, but by the spirit that sent you here. And everything not aligned with that spirit senses it, even if they don't understand it, especially when they don't understand it. That's why demons fear you, not because of your name, or face, or status, but because of what you carry, because of what's chained behind your ribs, pacing, waiting, growing stronger every time you choose not to bow to the systems of this world. They see it. Even when you dance single quote, they see what you're becoming, what you were born to awaken. The enemy knew who you were long before you did. That's why the attacks came early. That's why your childhood felt like a war zone you weren't trained to survive. That's why betrayal and abandonment always found their way to your door. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Because the spirit within you, the one they can't name, the one they refuse to acknowledge, has been pushing through the cracks of your pain, reshaping your soul into a weapon darkness cannot touch. You weren't abandoned. You were hidden. You weren't rejected. You were protected. Every heartbreak, every loss, every sleepless night was a chiseling carving room inside you for something eternal to live. And now it lives there. The power, the authority, the knowing, that ancient divine frequency humming through your bones when you walk into a place not meant for you, the one that makes demons flinch and weak souls flee. You've seen it, haven't you? The way people react without cause, the way they shift around you, respect, fear, envy, all mixed into one expression they don't even understand themselves. That's the weight of the mantle on you. That's the whisper of what dwells within. And here's the part they'll never say out loud. They know they can't stop you. They can delay you, distract you, try to infect you with doubt. But the calling can't be erased, and what's inside you can't be undone. You were chosen before they had the chance to reject you, before religion tried to tame you, before life tried to break you. You were called apart, not above, but apart, set aside, marked in the spirit, and whether you believe it fully or not, your presence provokes the unseen. That's why relationships feel unstable, why some people get close, then pull away, Why spiritual attacks increase when you finally step into alignment. Because every step you take toward your destiny sends a tremor through realms unseen. It disturbs them. It unlocks things, and they're afraid of. What happens if you stop questioning and start commanding? Because the truth is, chosen one, demons aren't just afraid of you. They're assigned to try and stop you. And yet, they're bound to fail, because the spirit within you is not afraid. It's not shaken by low frequencies. It doesn't answer to earthly rank or man-made systems. It operates in silence, but moves with thunder, and it's starting to wake up inside you. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange stillness before a breakthrough, the way your old desires no longer hold weight, the way you're being pulled away from what once distracted you. You're being repositioned, because soon what dwells within will no longer whisper, it will speak. And when it does, everything that once stood in your way, spiritual or physical, will bow. Not because you demanded it, but because divine authority doesn't beg. It simply is, and when you walk in it, all creation recognizes you, even if the world denies you. So don't be surprised by the resistance. Don't let loneliness lie to you. Don't let delay convince you you're forgotten. You're not late. You're being fortified, and what's coming will make every tear, every attack, every demon's whisper of doubt look like noise in the background of your ascension. But before the rise, there's always the tremble of things unseen, because even hell senses what's coming next. And if you lean in, if you don't shrink, you'll start to sense it to dot the shift. The summons, the moment when what's been hidden inside you steps forward and speaks. You didn't choose this path. You didn't raise your hand and say, yes, I'd like to be misunderstood, isolated, attacked, and feared for something I didn't ask for. No, this calling was written into your bones before your first breath, and long before you had the language to explain what you were feeling. The war had already begun. Spiritual warfare doesn't always look like a horror movie. Sometimes it looks like patterns you can't break. Silent battles behind polite smiles. Feeling drained after spending time with certain people, even the ones who say they love you. It's subtle, strategic, relentless. Because if the enemy can't destroy you, he'll try to distract you. And if he can't distract you, he'll try to isolate you in a prison of your own mind, filled with doubt, shame, and the constant haunting question, why me? But here's what most never realize. It's not that you're cursed, it's that you're carrying something sacred. Something so ancient and powerful that even the forces of darkness that roam this world can smell it on you. They can sense it. And so they start early. They send people to hurt you before you can define yourself. They send counterfeit connections, disguised as love. They hijack your family, twist your reflection, poison your innocence, all in the hopes of burying your identity before you ever discover it. Because once you know who you are, it's over for them. Because when you know what dwells within you, not just intellectually, but deep in your spirit, you stop begging, you stop explaining, you stop minimizing yourself to fit places your spirit never belonged in. And most of all, you stop fearing fear itself. The enemy's power is not in his presence. It's in your ignorance of your own. And that's why the attacks intensified. Every time you got closer to clarity, every time you said, I'm done with pretending, or I can't stay here anymore, or I'm ready for something deeper, the resistance grew louder, not because you were doing something wrong, but because you were waking up. And as you wake up, the layers fall off, the layers of guilt that religion put on you, The layers of shame that trauma wrapped around your identity. The masks you wore to survive in places you were never called to thrive in. They all start to burn away, and what remains? That's what terrifies the darkness. Not your personality, not your charm, not your knowledge, but that raw, unfiltered, God-breathed essence they couldn't touch, even when life tried to break you. You've noticed it, the tension when you walk into rooms, the shift in energy, the people who once supported you suddenly going quiet. The attacks that come when you're finally in alignment with your purpose. That's not bad luck. That's confirmation. You were never meant to move quietly. Your voice carries weight in realms you can't see. Your presence provokes old spirits that haven't been challenged in years. That's why you had to be the one in your family to break the generational curse. That's why you had to be the one who never quite fit in, because you weren't made to conform. You were built to confront. And what dwells within you, it's not passive, it's not timid, it's not afraid of confrontation. It's fire, sword, thunder. And the more you try to shrink it, the more restless it becomes, because it didn't come to play it safe. It came to shift, a TMOSPHERES, to tear down falsehoods, to shake loose every lie you've ever believed about yourself. You were born with a mantle, and that mantle carries weight. Not everyone can stand under it. Not everyone can be close to it. Some people are repelled, not because you hurt them, but because your light exposes what they've been hiding. Your purity unsettles their compromise. Your clarity threatens their confusion. Your alignment puts pressure on their deception. And so they label you cold, difficult, intense. But don't take it personally. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the spirit inside you. The one that doesn't flinch when confronted by darkness. That spirit didn't come to be polite. It came to set captives free, and freedom always costs something. Sometimes it costs your comfort. Sometimes it costs your community. Sometimes it costs the version of you that everyone once loved. But if you keep holding on to who you were, you'll never fully embody who you're becoming. And who you're becoming scares hell, because it's not a version of you that plays small. It's not a version that tolerates fake peace or shallow spirituality. It's the version of you that walks in authority, that discerns before speaking, that moves with intention, that walks into a room and shifts the entire atmosphere, not with volume, but with presence. Because what dwells within you is no longer asleep. It's rising every challenge, every betrayal, every lonely night you cried out to God and heard nothing. It wasn't silence, it was strategy. You were being stripped, refined, purified, because the spirit within you cannot be mixed with old patterns. It won't allow false alignments to remain. It will break you down before it lets anything weak sit on a throne inside your soul. And now that you're here, raw, honest, open, the rising has begun. Don't be surprised if people start falling away. Don't be alarmed if the attacks intensify. It's because the spiritual realm senses what's about to happen through you. And let me make this clear. You are not just protected, you are backed. Heaven has seen your tears. Heaven has recorded every injustice, every false accusation, every whisper behind closed doors, and heaven has authorized your rise. You didn't make it this far just to blend in. You made it because what's in you had to survive. And now it's your time. Not just to shine, but to speak, to break, to cast down, to rebuild. You are the temple and the sword, and the world doesn't need another nice voice. It needs truth, raw, unapologetic, holy, and that's what you carry. So, no, it's not you they fear, it's the spirit inside you. The one that refuses to bow, the one that breaks patterns, the one that silences demons, not with screams, but with presence. And that's what they can't stand. That's what they'll never be able to control, because it was never theirs to begin with. It's him, and he chose you to carry it. Now walk like it, because what's inside you isn't hiding anymore, it's awakening. You thought the path would get easier, didn't you? There was a time when you believed that if you just got through the trials, the betrayal, the loneliness, the confusion, eventually it would all make sense. You'd find your peace. The struggles would fade into the background as you rose into your purpose. But as you've discovered, the path is never quite as clear as you imagined. The truth is that the closer you get to your destiny, the more you realize the battle isn't just external. It's an internal war. A war for your own peace, for your confidence, and for your unwavering belief that you are meant for something greater than what the world tells you. And when the world sees the spark inside you, when they notice the shift in you, that's when things really start to get complicated. You start to feel it, don't you? The silent resistance, the pushback. It's almost like an invisible force is trying to hold you back from stepping into who you're supposed to be, from claiming the full weight of what is rightfully yours. This isn't just about people who doubt you. This is something deeper, something spiritual. And it's not just the people around you. It's the forces that dwell in the unseen. The spirits of this world that know exactly who you are, even if you haven't fully embraced it yet. You might not have the full clarity yet, but trust me, they know. Have you noticed how everything intensifies when you get closer to breakthrough? When you start to walk in your full calling? It's almost like the universe itself conspires to test you. Suddenly, the battles you once faced feel insignificant compared to the ones you now face. The old distractions don't even matter anymore. The familiar lies and false comforts that used to hold you down are nothing compared to the new resistance that is arising. And here's the truth, it's not you they fear. It's what you carry. It's what you've yet to fully step into. There's something inside you, a force, a calling, a destiny that terrifies the darkness. It's why they try to confuse you, why they want to drag you down to a place of self-doubt. They know that the moment you realize the magnitude of your power, you will step into realms of influence, authority, and victory that they cannot touch. This isn't just a battle for survival. It's a battle for your belief. The forces at work are doing everything they can to make you question what you've been chosen to carry. They want to keep you small, uncertain, unsure of who you truly are. But there's a part of you that refuses to back down, doesn't there? Even when the fight feels impossible, there's this voice deep inside you that whispers, "Keep going. Don't stop now, you're so close." You may have felt it when the world tried to wear you down. The pain, the heartbreak, the betrayal. Those moments when you felt like you were being crushed by the weight of the world. But what you didn't realize, what they didn't want you to see, was that every ounce of pain was shaping you. It was molding you into the vessel that could hold something much greater than you could have ever imagined. And as much as they wanted to break you, they couldn't. Because there is something inside of you that refuses to bend. It refuses to break. The very thing they feared about you all along is the thing that makes you unstoppable. The power of your purpose. The fire within you that can never be extinguished, no matter how hard the winds of life blow against it. Every time they tried to knock you down, you stood back up. Every time they whispered lies into your spirit, you fought back with truth. Every time they tried to bury your calling, you rose from the ashes, and that's why they're scared. You see, when you begin to step into your true calling, when you start to stand firm in your authority, things begin to shift in ways you can't even predict. You will begin to notice that the people around you start to change. Those who were once comfortable with you staying small, staying in the shadows, suddenly feel threatened by your rise. The conversations change. The smiles become a little colder. The subtle slights start to grow louder. But don't be fooled. It's not you they're reacting to. It's the force within you, the divine spark that cannot be denied. That spark, that's what makes demons tremble. That's why they can't just sit by and let you walk into your full destiny. They have to stop you. They have to delay you. They have to make you believe you're not worthy, that you're not capable, that you'll never make it. But they won't succeed. Not now, not when you're finally awakening to what lies within you. And here's the key. The more you walk in your calling, the more that light within you grows brighter. It's a ripple effect. As you take one step, the ground beneath you begins to shift. The atmosphere starts to change. And that's when they begin to feel the heat. You have authority. Not because of anything you've done, but because of who you belong to. And when you know whose you are, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you. Every attack becomes just a stepping stone. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every betrayal becomes an opportunity for growth. You'll notice the resistance, sure, but here's what you'll also notice. As the darkness intensifies, so does your light. As you begin to step fully into your purpose, the world begins to see you in a way they never have before. Some will be drawn to you, some will be repelled, and that's okay. You were never meant to fit in. You were chosen to stand out, to rise, to shine. The closer you get to your destiny, the more the forces of darkness will tremble at your progress. And it will never be easy. The attacks will never stop. But now you know that the war was never against your weakness. It was against your strength. Because they can't control the fire inside you. They can't contain your light. And every time they try to push you down, you rise higher. So keep going. Keep pushing forward, because the closer you get to your purpose, the closer you get to the victory that's always been yours. You weren't meant to stay hidden. You were born to shine. And the world, as it turns out, needs you more than you could ever imagine. You never asked for this. That's the truth no one knows. You never asked to feel everything so deeply, to walk through life carrying a weight that no one else seems to notice. From a young age, you felt it, the difference. Not better than others, but different. A quiet knowing that somehow, some way, your path would not look like theirs. While others moved through life effortlessly, you faced resistance at every turn. And at first, you blamed yourself. You wondered if you were cursed, broken, or just unlucky. But deep down, in the marrow of your soul, you sensed something else. You were being prepared for a calling most people couldn't carry. But what happens when the calling you carry starts to awaken? When the thing inside you begins to stir, to rise, to shake the foundation of the ordinary world around you. That's when the opposition intensifies. That's when you realize this isn't just about bad luck or tough circumstances. This is about spiritual collision, because what lives inside you cannot be hidden forever. You've tried, haven't you? Tried to shrink, to dim your light just enough to blend in. You wore masks, played roles, you said the right things, followed the script, But no matter how hard you tried, something always set you apart. You were never fully accepted, never fully understood. It's like your soul refused to let you settle. Something always kept pulling you out of comfort, away from the crowd, into the wilderness. That wilderness, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation, because only in isolation can you hear the voice of the one who called you. Only in silence do you come face to face with the truth that what you carry isn't just rare, it's divine. The demons that tried to break you, they didn't attack you because you were weak. They attacked you because you were becoming dangerous. Dangerous to the lies, the cycles, the strongholds that have kept others bound for generations. And as you started to step into awareness, as you began to believe that maybe, just maybe, you weren't crazy, they panicked, because once a chosen one begins to awaken, the spiritual realm shifts. Have you ever wondered why your darkest nights came right after your moments of greatest clarity? Why the moment you got the revelation, the dream, the direction, everything seemed to fall apart? That's not coincidence. That's warfare. They saw what was being birthed inside you and tried to suffocate it. But you survived. You didn't quit. Even when your heart was shattered, even when your mind was tormented, even when your soul screamed for rest, you kept going. And that resilience, that fire, that's not just personality. That's the mark of the chosen. The world doesn't understand it. They call you too sensitive, too intense, too much. But what they call too much is the very thing that makes you unstoppable, because your sensitivity is a radar. Your intensity is discernment. Your depth is power, and the truth is, it scares them, not just people, but spirits, because they see what you carry before you do. They smell the anointing on your life before you even learn how to speak it. They sense the authority in your voice before you understand how to use it. That's why they attacked your identity, why they tried to confuse your worth, why they tried to convince you you were unlovable, unworthy, invisible. Because if they could keep you trapped in a prison of doubt, they could stop the force within you from ever rising. But here's what they didn't count on, you remembered, not all at once, but piece by piece. The veil began to lift, through pain, through loss, through chaos. Something deeper began to speak, a still, small voice inside your spirit, not loud, not demanding, just present. It whispered truth when everything else screamed lies. It reminded you of who you are when you couldn't even lift your head. It held you when no one else showed up, and that voice, it never left, even when you doubted it, even when you walked away, because chosen ones don't get to forget forever. The call follows you, and no matter how far you run, eventually the truth finds you again. That truth, you were never ordinary. You were never meant to be. You are a disruption, a divine interruption in the plans of darkness, a generational curse breaker, a healing force, a voice of truth in a world addicted to lies. And because of that, the spiritual realm has been watching you closely. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of revenge, heaven celebrated. Every time you chose healing over hatred, light broke through. Every time you chose to keep going, even with tears in your eyes and wounds in your heart, demons trembled, because nothing is more terrifying to darkness than someone who knows who they are. And now, that's what's happening to you. You're starting to see it, aren't you? The way the attacks make sense now. The way your isolation was sacred. The way your rejection was redirection. The way your pain carved out space for deeper wisdom, deeper vision, deeper power. You're not who You've shed layers, let go of illusions. You've been stripped down to the essence of who you truly are, and what's left is unstoppable. You've become someone they can no longer manipulate, someone they can't distract with superficial pleasures or false promises, someone who sees through deception and walks with clarity. That's why the atmosphere shifts when you enter a room. That's why people either gravitate toward you or suddenly pull away. That's why you feel so much without anyone saying a word. You're tuned in, and that kind of discernment is dangerous. You were meant to shake the system. You were sent to tear down the lies and awaken others. But first you had to be awakened yourself. And now that you are, there's no going back, no shrinking, no pretending to be less than you are just to make others comfortable. You carry something holy, something untouchable, and they know it. That's why it's not you they fear, it's what dwells within. So keep walking, keep speaking, keep rising, because your presence is not a mistake. It's a warning to every dark force that tried to stop you. You're still here, and you're only just getting started. You didn't choose this road. It called to you slowly at first, then all at once. There were no signs, no fireworks, no grand announcements. Just a quiet ache in your chest that kept whispering, there's more. There's something you were born for. And the more you tried to silence it, the louder it got. The more you tried to live like everyone else, the more your soul began to suffocate. Because the truth is, you were never meant to fit in. You weren't created to walk the wide path with the masses. You were born to break the mold, to challenge the narrative, to carry light into the darkest corners of this world. And the world does not welcome those who disrupt its illusions. That's why everything changed once you started waking up. Once you began to question, to feel, to listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit. The dreams became more vivid, the signs more frequent, the coincidences impossible to ignore. And with every step you took toward the truth, the resistance grew stronger. Have you ever wondered why the moment you began to heal, old wounds were reopened? Why people you trusted suddenly turned cold? Why everything you built started to shake? It's not random. It's not bad timing. It's spiritual pushback. The closer you get to your purpose, the louder the shadows scream. But here's what most people don't realize. That screaming isn't a sign of your failure. It's a signal of your power. Because nothing screams louder than a demon who knows it's about to be evicted. What dwells inside you, that light, that truth, that divine fire, it cannot be negotiated with. It doesn't make deals with darkness. It doesn't shrink to make evil feel comfortable. And that's what terrifies them. You've probably noticed it by now. How people project things onto you that don't belong. How strangers treat you like a threat before you even speak. How certain spaces feel hostile even though you've done nothing but exist. It's not what you're saying, it's what you're carrying. You walk into a room and energy shifts. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because your spirit speaks before your mouth does. That kind of presence can't be bought. It can't be faked. It's forged in the fire of suffering, isolation, surrender. And now that you're no longer hiding from it, it shines. But this is the part no one prepares you for. The brighter you shine, the more you'll expose what others are trying to hide. And they'll hate you for it, not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. You are a mirror, and mirrors make people uncomfortable. You reflect the truth they've buried, the dreams they've abandoned, the calling they ignored. And instead of facing that truth, many choose to blame the mirror, to shatter it, to silence it. That's why chosen ones are attacked, not for their flaws, but for their light, not for their mistakes, but for their calling, not for who they are, but for what they carry. And you carry something ancient, something sacred, something that stretches beyond this lifetime. You are the living proof that the curse ends with you, that the story changes now, that generational chains don't have to stay locked forever, and that kind of liberation is dangerous to the enemy. That's why your life was hard, why you were attacked before you even knew who you were, why you've been misunderstood, mistreated, misrepresented, even by the people who claimed to love you, because the forces that oppose you saw your destiny. Long before you did, they saw the day you would wake up and remember who you are. They saw the day you'd stop believing the lies and start standing in your authority. They saw the day you'd become unshakable, and that day is here. You've cried enough, you've bled enough, you've questioned yourself long enough. Now is the time to step forward, not with arrogance, but with certainty. You're not here to beg for permission. You're here to reclaim territory. Territory in your mind, territory in your bloodline, territory in your calling. And you do it by walking boldly in your truth, even when your voice shakes, even when the road is lonely, even when everything in you wants to turn back. Because the same power that called you is the same power that will carry you. You were never meant to do this alone. You were always backed by heaven, and the proof is in your survival. Look back. Look at what you've come through, at what should have taken you out, at what tried to break you, at the nights you almost gave up but didn't. That wasn't just luck, that was divine protection. Because what dwells in you, it matters. It's not just for you, it's for the world. There are people waiting for your voice, waiting for your healing, waiting for your story. And the moment you choose to rise, not perfectly, but fully, you give them permission to rise too, because your courage creates ripple effects. Your freedom lights the way, and your presence becomes a portal through which heaven touches earth. That's why they tried to silence you. That's why they tried to convince you you were nothing. Because if you ever discovered the truth, if you ever stepped into your full authority, if you ever owned your anointing, the darkness wouldn't stand a chance. And now that you're here, awakening, remembering, rising, there's no going back. Not because you're fearless, but because you finally understand what fear really is. It's the sound darkness makes when light enters the room. So walk in your light, own your presence, speak your truth, because it's not you they fear, it's what dwells within, and that is unstoppable. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey where the silence becomes sacred, where the solitude is no longer punishment but preparation. And in that stillness, when the noise of the world fades and the crowd disappears, you hear it clearly for the first time, the voice of the divine within. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it doesn't threaten. It reminds you were never weak. You were becoming. All the nights you cried yourself to sleep, training, all the betrayal, training, all the confusion, isolation, rejection, and spiritual warfare. Training, you weren't losing, you were being tempered, refined, sharpened. The fire didn't come to burn you. It came to burn off what you were never meant to carry, and now you see it, clearer than ever. This wasn't about punishment, this was about preparation. You were being emptied so you could be filled with something greater. Not ego, not ambition, but divine clarity, vision, authority, power, the kind that can't be taken, away because it wasn't given by man. That's what's inside you now, and that's what terrifies the enemy. Because when you walk in alignment, when you remember, you're not just a person anymore. You become a weapon, a vessel, a conduit for truth, healing, and transformation. Everywhere you go, you disrupt patterns. You break generational curses just by choosing differently. You shine light into lies that have lived in people for decades. You make demons nervous not because of what you say, but because of what your presence awakens in others. Some of you have spent your whole lives being misunderstood, called too sensitive, too intense, too spiritual. But now you realize those were never flaws. They were features, divine coding, evidence of your assignment. You were designed to see deeper, to feel more, to carry burdens most couldn't even recognize. Not because you're cursed, but because you're called, and what's inside you. That's not just intuition, that's discernment. That's not paranoia, that's spiritual awareness. That's not anxiety. That's your spirit picking up on things before your mind can catch up. You've always had this radar, this knowing, and they try to convince you to shut it down, to ignore it, to conform. But the time for shrinking is over. No more apologizing for your light. No more diluting your truth to fit in places you've outgrown. No more pretending not to notice what your spirit already knows. Because the war isn't coming, you've already been fighting it quietly in the spirit. Your whole life, every breakdown you had, every friend who switched up without warning, every door that slammed in your face after you finally got the courage to knock. It wasn't random. It wasn't personal. It was spiritual warfare. The enemy knew what you carried before you did, so it tried to destroy you early, tried to traumatize you so badly that you'd forget, that you'd doubt, that you'd self-destruct before your assignment could even begin. But guess what? You're still here, still breathing, still rising, and that's a problem for every dark force. That thought your collapse was guaranteed, because now you're aware. You see the patterns, you hear the whispers behind the scenes. You recognize spiritual attacks for what they are, distractions and illusions, and you don't flinch anymore. You pray, you discern, you move strategically, because that's what chosen ones do when they remember who they are. You understand now that your gifts aren't just for show, they're weapons. Your sensitivity, that's your radar. Your silence, that's your shield. Your solitude, that's your strength. Your compassion, that's your secret weapon. Because no one expects someone so powerful to still love that deeply, but you do. And that love, that's divine. That's what makes you unstoppable. That's why you couldn't die in that depression. That's why that betrayal didn't ruin you. That's why, even in your lowest moments, something kept pulling you forward, even if you were crawling, because your mission isn't over. There are people attached to your voice, souls attached to your light, nations buried in your belly, waiting to be birthed. The enemy wanted you so distracted by survival that you'd never realize how much influence you carry just by being who you are. But now you're starting to understand. Your entire life has been a setup, not for destruction, but for demonstration. You're a walking testimony that light always wins. You are proof that the darkness doesn't get the final word. You are living evidence that what dwells within you is greater than anything that comes against you, and you didn't have to fight for that greatness. You were born with it, born to carry it, born to protect it, even when it made you lonely, born to walk with it, even when it made you misunderstood, born to release it, even when it cost you everything, because chosen ones don't serve comfort, they serve calling, and calling always comes with a cost. But the reward, the impact, the legacy, that's eternal. And now that you've remembered who you are, now that the veil is lifted, now that you're no longer confused about what's happening in your life, you don't chase, you attract, you don't beg, you command. You don't fear demons, they fear what dwells within you. Because what lives in you now is not just potential, it's divine power, ancient authority, kingdom fire. You've been anointed not just to survive this world, but to change it, to shake it, to challenge it, to rebuild what was torn down, to walk boldly where others were too afraid to go, to stand where others bowed to rise, where others were buried. That's why you were attacked. That's why you had to walk alone, because God didn't want you confused about who your power came from. It wasn't the crowd. It wasn't the crowd. It wasn't the approval. It wasn't the platform. It was always Him working through you. And now that you finally see it, now that you fully accept it, there's no limit to what you'll do next, because this world has yet to see what happens when a chosen one walks in full alignment with what dwells within. But they're about to find out. So don't shrink, don't doubt, don't stop. Keep going, keep glowing, keep growing, because it's not you they fear. It's what dwells within. And now that it's fully awake, nothing will ever be the same if this message stirred something inside you. It wasn't by accident. You're not here by chance. You were led here, drawn by the very thing they tried to bury in you. So now I'll ask you, not as a stranger, but as someone who knows the path you walk. If you feel the weight of being chosen, if the silence around you feels heavy, if you've lost more than you've gained, but something in your spirit refuses to quit, then don't keep walking alone. Drop a comment below, even if it's just a, or I receive this. Let the darkness know you're still here, still rising, still becoming dot. And if this spoke to your soul, share it with someone who's fighting battles in silence, someone who's forgetting their light, someone who needs to remember what dwells within. Make sure you're subscribed, because this journey isn't over. The next message might be the one that changes everything. You're not weak, you're not crazy, and you're not alone. You are chosen, and they don't fear you. They fear the power you haven't fully stepped into yet. But you're about to. Let's walk this path together.